Off the coast of Nova Scotia, there is a small island that has consumed the lives, fortunes, and sanity of treasure hunters for over 2 centuries. To this day, no large-scale treasure has ever been confirmed. The search began in 1795. According to local historical accounts, a young man named Daniel McGinnis was exploring the island's eastern end when he noticed a circular depression in the ground directly beneath an old oak tree. Local folklore had already marked the area as suspicious. Settlers had reported seeing glowing lights hovering over the island at night, and McGinnis noted what looked like an old ship's tackle block hanging from one of the oak's branches. Early excavators claimed to find a deep structure beneath a layer of flagstones. They reported thick oak platforms every 10 feet, interspersed with charcoal, putty, and coconut fiber. Expanding laterally reveals booby-trapped flood tunnels, subterranean channels pulling seawater from the beach, permanently flooding the shaft. What started as a curious hole beneath a tree was now viewed as a lethal, highly engineered vault. The presence of these water traps convinced generations of searchers that whatever was buried below was immensely valuable. For decades, the search was driven by unverified stories, like the legend of a dying sailor's confession or a 90-foot stone bearing a cryptic cipher. But beneath the oral traditions lies a bed of physical, geological reality. In 1967, an operation known as the Becker Drilling Program pushed the search far deeper than the original 155-foot excavation limits. They bored directly into the bedrock at depths reaching 200 feet. Down in that deep rock zone, the drills brought up physical evidence that could not be ignored. They recovered pieces of wood, early cement, and torn brass foil from extreme depths, proving that someone or something had been active far below the original pit. Those findings are supported by items recovered closer to the surface. Searchers have unearthed multiple 17th century coins, including a silver piece dated 1693, locking the timeline of activity to the colonial era. Carbon dating on the deep earth wood samples also returns dates from the 1600s and 1700s. These verified manufactured anomalies confirm that complex human activity took place on this remote island long before Daniel McGinnis arrived in 1795. The oldest and most persistent theory connects these colonial-era artifacts directly to piracy. Specifically, the idea that Captain William Kidd or Henry Every used the island as a communal bank for their plundered wealth. Others look to medieval Europe. The discovery of a small lead cross on the island, traced by isotope data to ancient mines in southern France, has fueled theories that the Knights Templar fled to Nova Scotia to hide religious relics. A separate line of inquiry focuses on secret societies, suggesting that early Freemasons, or figures like Sir Francis Bacon, constructed the vault to preserve lost Shakespearean manuscripts in vats of quicksilver. But geologists offer a completely different explanation: karst geology. This image shows a natural sinkhole, formed not by human engineering, but by the natural dissolution of rock over thousands of years. This diagram illustrates how acidic groundwater slowly dissolves soft limestone and gypsum bedrock. As the subterranean caverns grow, the surface eventually collapses inward. This natural subsidence creates voids, loose soil, and persistent flooding that mirror the exact conditions of the money pit. This creates a unique paradox. The 17th century coins and deep earth artifacts prove people were definitely here, but the pit itself might be a geological anomaly that simply swallowed a few colonial items, tricking treasure hunters into inventing a labyrinth of traps. The pursuit of these theories exacted a heavy toll. Dozens of syndicates went bankrupt chasing the legend, and the deaths of 6 men in various cave-ins and accidents gave rise to the grim rumor that the island was cursed. By the 1960s, frustration reached a boiling point. Geologist Robert Dunfield brought in heavy machinery, ripping massive 70-foot-deep craters into the earth in a brute force attempt to reach the vault. In their desperation to validate their historical theories, searchers physically obliterated the original site. The digging destroyed the exact archaeological context that might have actually solved the mystery. Today, the approach has shifted. Instead of blind, destructive digging, researchers rely on non-invasive technology like seismic mapping and ground-penetrating radar to scan the Earth. This modern data collection has confirmed 2 things. There are definitive structural anomalies deep underground, and verifiable pre-1795 human artifacts scattered across the island. Yet, despite mapping the entire island in high resolution, there is zero verified physical proof that a massive treasure vault ever existed. Modern technology, with all of its incredible precision, has ultimately only outlined the exact boundaries of our ignorance. We know exactly where the anomalies are, but we still do not know what they mean. The survival of the Oak Island mystery isn't driven by what has been found, but by what hasn't. It endures because a hole in the ground demands to be filled. The island functions as a psychological blank canvas. Without a definitive answer, humanity is free to project its greatest historical fantasies into the void, from pirate hordes to ancient relics. Today, the original site of the Money Pit is quiet. It sits as a modest, grassy depression enclosed by a simple wooden fence, bearing no visible scars of the violent excavations that defined its past. After more than 200 years, millions of dollars, and countless excavations, Oak Island still hasn't given up its greatest secret. So what is really buried beneath the island?